Imagine living in a country where you can't choose for yourself. You are told what and how to think, and even your basic freedoms is non-existent. A country where only a select few live like true untouchable kings, while the rest of the population lives in conditions worse than sewer rats. This is the reality of North Korea, one of the world's biggest hardcore communist nations, if not the greatest. Stick till the end of the video as we uncover first-hand atrocities that are happening on a daily basis in this hell of a country. We have all heard about the evil dictator Kim Jong Un. Kim Jong Un is the third leader of the Kim dynasty. In North Korea for almost 70 years now, Kim Jong Un's family has controlled the whole nation. Kim Jong has been known to be a violent and sadistic dictator, as all his predecessors. Kim Jong Un came to power on December 17, 2011, after the death of his father. A study done by UNICEF points out that every year an entire generation of children in North Korea is malnourished, and many of these children are severely affected. This points to deliberate food shortages in North Korea. There was a reported 1.36 million metric ton food shortage in 2019, and its population is more than 25 million people. And what did our friend Kim do to solve this for his people? He just advised to eat less until 2025, all while he is the one that could easily use his own advice. This is also a sort of psychological manipulation and exploitation. Because if you are constantly hungry, the only thing you can think about is where your next meal is coming from, so you don't have time to think about life and its purpose, let alone have some hobbies. Hence, there is no time and energy to revolt against your tyrannistic leader. But there is one thing Kim and his puppets like to funnel money into, and that is nuclear development. North Korea wants to become a strong nuclear armed force and is actively trying to show the US and other countries that North Korea is rapidly growing in military technology. Recently, there's been a lot of news coming up about North Korea threatening South Korea by showing off their military power. During these 11 years in power, Kim has spent a significant portion of the country's GDP on military development. Also, a fun fact, North Korea is the biggest drug manufacturer in the world. They produce tons of opium and crystal meth. Drug trafficking is a huge income for the country, where each year more than $7 billion flow into the country through drug trafficking. A few embassies in Southeast Asia were found to be supporting the transport of narcotics from North Korea. They export drugs to places like Philippines, Hong Kong, Thailand, and Western Africa. When you are the ultimate ruler of your own country, why not become the biggest drug dealer? I mean, who is going to arrest you? Your own police? As a supreme leader, you can do virtually anything, legal or illegal. But let's go back to the big guns for a second. North Korea is one of the biggest weapon dealers in the Middle East, North Africa, and other terrorist nations. Through weapon and missile sales and drug trafficking, the tyrant leader makes more than enough to develop more power and to enjoy his luxurious, unpunished lifestyle. Or does he? In 2018, Trump became the first president to meet with the Korean leader. It was a historic event that occurred after years of tension between the two nations. The leaders signed a comprehensive document that included the phrase, "complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula." And Kim reportedly agreed to the U.S. demands for complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization despite the international strong skepticism about Kim's agreement, as it would be obviously a foolish move for Kim to give away all his nuclear power. This still remains a deal without much clarity. To add to this oblivion, on June 5th this year, North Korea carried out a ballistic missile test. It seems like North Korea thinks the rest of the world is a joke and they have no plans to reduce their inventory of weapons. Even leaving the country is nearly impossible for North Koreans due to the strict travel regulations even within the country. And when you do leave, it is only for the purpose of hard labor. The government literally sells you out as a slave for cheap labor, and on top of that, they keep your family as hostages to make sure you come back. Another strict regulation is the ban of the internet. Forget having access to the internet as an ordinary citizen. Only a few high-ranking officials are allowed to access. And that too is North Korea's own intranet, which is known as Kwangmyeong. This is for Kim to ensure that North Korean data does not get leaked to the outside world. It is like an isolated island, isolated from the rest of the world, and this strategy worked very well in terms of brainwashing the people because without any contact with the outside free world, you can be controlled very easily. And besides, when you don't even know what's outside, how are you going to compare and realize that your life is a complete representation of every violation of human rights? The kids are being raised to praise the dictator and to live as slaves. They do not even realize there is even something called freedom. It is like the saying, you need to notice the chains first to realize you are bound. But there's no scope to even notice the chains because the people are so suppressed by the supreme leader's agenda to the point of not even wanting freedom, unless they are absolutely starving. Did you know that in North Korea, people don't know depression? But unfortunately, it is not because they are happy, but because they literally don't know the word depression, because it does not even exist in their vocabulary. Imagine that you are sad and depressed and have no clue that you are, because you don't even know what to call your emotional state. You are forced to think that sadness and deprivation is your natural state. That is the crazy level of psychological manipulation that only exists in this country. The citizens are turned into brainwashed zombies to the point that they should risk their own lives for the supreme leader. Yeonmi Park, a North Korean defector, was thoroughly interviewed by the world media, and she exposed a lot of dark truths about North Korea. She stated that their textbooks and curriculum is all about defeating the enemies and establishing the Korean agenda. It is especially anti-American. They portray America as the main threat to their country. While children play with toys and fluffy teddies in the free world, in North Korea, children are given toy guns, missiles, and other aggressive tactics, pretending to defeat the American enemy. The children are brought up in a way that all they know is to fight for Korea and to worship their supreme leader. Yeonmi revealed that even the Bible was manipulated and placed Kim in the place of Jesus. And all their ancestor leaders are to be worshipped as if they were gods. Not to mention that any form of religion or faith is heavily oppressed there as well. She mentioned that in North Korea, underpaid jobs are a common theme. If you are a doctor in North Korea, your salary is just $1 a month, which is not even anywhere close enough to meet your needs. She even said that growing up, she had to eat grasshoppers for protein. People are forced to eat frozen, half-rotten potatoes out of hunger. And what's even more alarming is that the hospitals are in such bad shape and have zero hygienic standards that a lot of children died due to catching hospital rats, eating them out of sheer hunger, and then died from severe infections due to the fact that the rats were feeding on dead flesh of deceased patients. Picture that for a second. This sounds worse than any scene from a Tarantino movie. From satellite images, North Korea is the darkest place on Earth, figuratively as well as literally, because electricity is not accessible to the common people in North Korea. And if you're caught trying to watch foreign movies or read the Bible, you are immediately executed in public. The government also tightly controls the media, and obviously the media is a great way to brainwash people and to praise Kim's leadership with glory. The Constitution also promises a right to faith, but unlike what it sounds like, the propaganda is to ultimately worship the supreme leader as God. Another thing that proves the inhumanity of North Korean dictators is the fact that they have many prison camps. For example, people who commit political crimes are sent to these camps to do brutal physical labor such as mining. Also, North Korea has a policy that if a single person in a family commits a crime, the whole family and 3 generations behind also gets punished. Which means a lot of people who didn't commit any kind of crime end up in these prison camps as well. Women are especially vulnerable in North Korea. Women face sexual harassment in a military environment. They are forced to join the military at a very young age, and if they are attacked sexually, they don't have anyone to complain about it. This is a 70-year-old system of dominance of a single family over a nation. Kim Jong Un sits on the throne, happily and sadistically exploits basic human rights, and enjoys the luxurious life of a dictator. North Korea is the most isolated, yet one of the greatest threats to the entire world. Because other countries are at least open to diplomatic talks in case of a conflict, North Korea would be the last country open to diplomacy. So there you have it, a sadistic, narcissistic drug dealer that thinks he's untouchable, who with a push of a button can wreak havoc in the whole world. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in our next video.